First of all, hello, beautiful people. We've been chatting behind the scenes. Now everyone is here to watch us discuss a topic today. We are talking about breaking into TV, film, and editorial work. This is presented by Showtime, so shout out to Showtime. My name is Sibley Scoles. I am joined here today to moderate this discussion, and I will introduce everyone right now. We've got celebrity hairstylist Kimble with us. The hair department head of Showtime's Black Monday, Edward Morrison. We have executive producer Marshall Persinger here with us as well. And finally, film and TV makeup artist Malika James.
Hi.
So we've got a lot to cover today, guys, and a lot of people want the knowledge that you all have. So we'll just get right into it. And for those who don't know, again, Sibley Scoles, I am a host at Access Hollywood. So I know a little bit behind the scenes too, but y'all the professionals. So I'm going to leave it to you to give everyone all the details. Kim, I want to start with you. Being a celebrity hairstylist, working nonstop. What was your first experience on set, and what was the most important lesson that you learned?
Wow. Well, first of all, my first experience was BAPS. I worked on a TV show. A movie called BAPS that starred Halle Berry, Natalie Desselle, Martin Landau, and that was my introduction into the union, Local 706, where, stylists, we do hair and makeup through a union for motion picture and also television. And so the biggest thing I'll say that I've learned was I had to learn quick. How about that? Because that was like my first project. And, someone said, fake it till you make it. It was one of those moments. I'm not one of the people that like to fake it, but when you have an opportunity and the opportunity comes and you need to really, you know what you're doing, because that's your chance and your time. So I was learning quick and, kind of feeling my way through it. Luckily, I had some makeup artists and a few hair people that were kind of helping me along the way, teaching me, but I was thrown into a whole nother world that I knew nothing about, because working in television and film and celebrity hairstylist is completely different from working in a salon. And I started in a salon first. So.
And we know that salon very well. So you have done so many things. Can you kind of discuss the different levels that you see for an artist on set? I mean, I know there's department heads, there's the key stylist, there's an assistant as well. Can you break those down for us?
Yeah, too. And it depends on what genre you're in. But there, again, like starting off with, there's an assistant, there is, key hair, there is department head hair, the same thing with makeup. But you have a couple of different levels, and it's really all about, there's a captain of the ship, which that's how I describe department heads. And then you hire the team that you need to get the work done. So as a department head, you are the leader. You are creating and setting the tone of the hair for the film or for the television show. And your job is extremely important, because you are designing what the hair is going to be in that project. And it is a big project. It's a big deal. It's learning the script, breaking it down, kind of planning out what each person's hair is in the film. But you do want to hire a good team so they can help you take on some of the responsibility of what you're doing. So if that answers your question.
No, it absolutely does. And I want to jump around here, and I'll go to Marshall for this question, because Kim makes a good point. There are those different people that you have to hire. When you're in your producer hat on, who do you consider to hire for the department head, or how do you decide on that person?
Well, first of all, I think hair and makeup is, first of all, the funnest department of all. It's like the place you want to go and hang out and hang out in their trailer, because it is usually the most chill place. I would say, usually the line producer puts up the hair and makeup people for the job, and then creatively, depending on how much you're involved creatively, the producer is going to look at those people, do reference checks, make sure there's no crazy people coming in. I also, for me, I would look at who was collaborative, you know, who research and comes in with ideas and wants to come to the meetings and wants to communicate, because it really is such a collaborative effort, the whole thing. The production designer, the costume designer, all have to work together. And then the hair and makeup people are essential to that, but they have to, you know, there's for each character, like Kim was saying, there are arcs to the character. There's, you know, a path that the characters are going to take. And so you want to, you know, you want to have people who are really into it, and you know, they're going to put everything into it that they can.
No, absolutely. And Edward, I'll take this question for you. Since you are a hair department head for one of the major shows, Black Monday, can you talk about, first of all, your journey to just finding your way to that position on a major TV show?
Well, I started in the salon, and I think, I mean, that's a high recommendation for me. I think that if you start in the salon, you have an opportunity to have different textures in your hand, and you can understand the different textures of hair that will help you through the journey of hair and makeup for a show. You need wigs, you need extensions, but Black Monday is a show that is a period piece. It's in the 80s. It started out in the 80s. And you have to understand your period. You have to understand the characters. You have to understand the script and what the producers are looking for and the directors are looking for. My journey is that I love building characters. I love establishing different looks and telling a story through hair and through makeup, through wardrobe. And I love to participate in that. But I think in essence, if you do understand the production, if you do understand hair, you do understand makeup and that character, I think you can bring forth a great story. You know, it helps. And I hope I answered your question.
No, you did. It's all good information. It's all useful for everyone right now watching this. Malika, you film and TV makeup artist, obviously across the board, you're seeing different things as well. How did you start your journey, and what are the differences between film and TV for you?
My journey was pretty cool. I started in Atlanta, and there was a show called The Game that ended up coming back after it was off the CW. And Kim was actually there. That was my very first show. And I was really blessed to be around some super OGs that like helped me in every way, from like set etiquette to continuity to having a proper set bag, knowing when to talk, when not to talk, like so many things that I got just out of that experience that helped me on every other show. And so that was my first experience. And to me, the biggest difference from TV and film has been the time. I feel like movies are just shorter. In TV, it seems like forever. And your whole life is gone before you look up. Like, people have had kids and people have had weddings and funerals, and you're like, well, damn, I missed everything. So to me, I think the biggest difference is time.
Do you have a favorite? Do you like it when it's a shorter process? Do you like the long process?
I like a short, you know, in and out.
It always allows you to do other things as well when you have a shorter time.
It just, I mean, like my longest project has been 9 months.
Wow. And
that was a lot of like 70 hours a week of 9 months. Like, you really miss out on a lot. And then I've had a movie that was like 60 days. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I still felt like I was still in the year. Like, the year wasn't over and I hadn't missed everything.
Right. Kim, for you, what are some of the key things that someone would need to consider when trying to work on a set or get into the union? I know you touched on it a little bit, but just any of those that stick out to you?
Well, I always believe in mentorship, you know, having someone you can work under and work with, because they can also help not only get you in, but also guide you in the process, because it is a whole different genre. You know, and I'm blessed to be able to work in so many different genres, and they all kind of help each other in a way, for me. But definitely, and be really, really prepared. Like Edward was saying, you know, I did have experience of working in a salon for years, and it helped me build up my speed. I learned so much about hair and different textures and working with a lot of different hair. I believe it really helped me having that experience, because some people want to go straight to working on a set and they don't have a lot of experience in doing hair, and you know, because there's a lot of things to consider. You know, there's, you know, speed. You don't have an hour or two to get somebody ready for anything. So it has given me a whole new skill of preparing and planning way ahead of time, so that, you know, when I get on set, you know, I may only have, you know, you guys know, 5 or 10 minutes or 15 minutes to actually get someone looking camera ready. That is a challenge within itself. And I so appreciate the years of me working in a salon and building up my speed and my stamina for these 18, 20-hour jobs that I'm about to do. So I just think that really, you know, preparing yourself as much as you can. I used to take so many classes, learn so much, and it helps me in my design skills. So when I want to design something, and even if whether I do it or I hire someone else to come in and do it, at least I know what it is, so I can understand how to design that look for someone. So I would definitely consider all those things before you get in the business, and then get someone you can really learn from to kind of help guide you through it, so you know, you can bypass some of the loopholes that can happen, you know. And you can, like you said, like Malika, I remember when I met her, we worked on the game together, and you know, she was, you know, new in the business, but she was so open to learning, and she was very, I mean, she was just a sponge and ready to, like, she was excited, but she was also ready to learn, and she understood, you know, balance in that way. And then of course I've also worked with Edward Morrison. When I first got in, I worked under Edward, and he was great at, you know, bringing me on and teaching me things, you know, when I first got in the business. So I've had it at both sides, and it's really, really so great not only to be sharing a panel with them, but also having that experience and opportunity, so we can share this with anybody else out there who is, you know, looking to get into the business.
Absolutely. And if there's anyone that wants to touch on anything, cut me off before I go to the next question, because you all have the experience and the knowledge that people want to hear about.
I really believe in mentorship too, as well, Kim. I think that we have so many that come before us, and the strength and the knowledge and the wisdom that they have, and the patience. Because, you know, coming straight from the salon, we color outside the lines a lot. You know, you're creative and you just want to express yourself, and you want to be strong and beautiful, and, you know, all of that, all of those emotions, of those creative juices are flowing. But like Kim was saying, also the discipline is very important. Malika was saying that you have to understand when, set etiquette, what to do and what not to do, because you're the first person that the actors see in the morning, and basically the last person as well. And they share a lot of private information in that trailer. So you have to be responsible with that information that they share. They're vulnerable. And I think it's very important that we respect them, and we hold ourselves at a high level as well.
Well, can I add to that from the production side too? It's really incredible if I think the hair and makeup people are exactly like you said, they're the first person to see the actors in the day. They're able to calm them down, or, you know, check their vulnerability. But I think it's also really helpful if they see something that might be brewing for the day, or that might not be great, not breaking confidence, but maybe you could let the AD or the producers know, you know, what's coming, so that they're part of the overall team. Because sometimes, you know, there's stuff that's been building, and not to be, and I think what Edward said is great too, because you don't want to, I think it would be really hard. You have to contain a lot of information, a lot of gossip, a lot of like drama behind the scenes and all that. And you have to figure out, you're like a psychiatrist in there, you know, you have to figure out who to give it to or who not to.
That was so interesting, because one of the things I learned to do, and this could be helpful to you guys, I'm really good at it's going in one ear and out the other. I'm like, I'm not even really listening sometimes, because you don't want to take all that in either. You know, and I find that sometimes it's not good to take it all in, but I'm really good at it just kind of passing through. I might not even remember what they said, but I'm like, you know, and then I'll guide the conversation probably back into what I'm doing for them or what we need to do and stuff like that if it's going too far, because sometimes I don't want to take on also what, you know, what's going on. And sometimes people just want to air and vent, you know. Sometimes they don't want your advice. And sometimes it's not good to give it, right?
Two sides to it. Malika, I want to include you in that conversation as well, because again, red carpets are different, editorials different, just being on those different sets and the energy changes and shifts. What is a protocol for you, again, going to each of those different types of locations and different types of sets?
I think for me, across the board, kind of like gauging the room and keeping your mouth closed, no matter what content medium you're in, is always going to protect you. There's this era, and I think I kind of came up in that era too, of like taking pictures and Instagram and all of that. And I have so many of my mentors, including Kim, that came in when that wasn't a thing. So taking pictures on set seems so normal to me on a music video, and like, oh man, let's show this off. And now it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Do you understand that that is, you're crossing so many guidelines. You're like, this is not what you're supposed to do. So whether you're on a TV set, a photo shoot, don't take pictures and start posting. Gauge the room. A lot of times they have signs now like, please don't share this content, please don't share this. But before I got into this type of business, we were taking pictures all the time. Like, it was no big deal. And people were excited for you to do it. So that's kind of one of the things, gauging the room, being quiet. I know it's hard for some people to do, but I've just learned, like, the less you know, the better. Like, even when Kim was talking about some of those conversations, like if you can not be a part of it or not even being in the room, no one can say that, oh, so-and-so was there when they said such and such. Like, no, I wasn't. But I wanted to say that about the unions, there's two different unions. So there's 706 and there's 798, and they're very different. The etiquette pretty much is the same across the board wherever you go. If you worked in China, I mean, you're still going to kind of follow some of those same guidelines. But I wanted to make sure that there was a difference between both unions.
Absolutely. And you know, this is one question, again, before getting into all of this and everything that Black Beauty roster is doing, this is a big question. I'll take this to Marshall first, for hiring. It's, I know obviously everything is different, working with textured hair or darker complexions, to make sure the diversity is there also, not just in front of the camera, but behind as well, to make sure that all talent is taken care of. What are steps and processes that you specifically take to ensure that there is a diverse experience taken into account on those sets?
Well, that's a great question. Well, first, you have to sort of assess who is coming into the show or the movie, and if they have a personal, or if they're, you know, if they're bringing a hair or makeup person in. And then you kind of have to go from there. The best thing on a TV series is if you can not have anybody who's a personal, it's across the board. So nobody feels more special than another, because you want to create sort of a democratic thing. Then I think you basically look at who your actors are as they're coming into the thing, what the show is. And then you, you know, a lot of factors come in. Most of the time you can't fly somebody, so you have to get from the area. So like if you're working in Atlanta, you have to hire from Atlanta or the Southeast, where people will be locals, because you can't pay to put up people. It's too expensive. So therefore I would say to people who want to be in the business, go to the production centers, you know, go to places like Atlanta and New York and LA, and be in, and maybe Santa Fe, or places where there's a lot of production. And then I think that a really good way is to, again, this would be coming probably through the line producer originally, but if you go to the film office, the state film office, and they'll tell you what productions are coming, and, you know, be sure your resume's with them, and be sure it goes to the production. Also, if you know the line producer, if you know any of the hair and makeup people already on the show, you want to just be a member of the community that's working, so that you can, you know, get in the door basically and talk. And again, like I think Kim and Edward both said, the hair and makeup heads are hiring their own staff, and you know, the people that work with them. So really, I think the biggest thing the producer can do is encourage that with the hair and makeup people, department heads, but also basically just encourage it, but also give those artists a chance to hire the people that they think can support them.
Yeah, and I mean, I can speak on that too, and I'm sure everyone here can, if anyone wants to add to that, especially Edward, you working where you said, and I think it all comes down to, before I get into anything else, it all comes down to really know your craft. And I think you guys are all saying that. Ask questions, know your craft, understand different hair, understand different skin tones, know what you're doing before you go in there. Because I think, and also the people hiring realize we're not all looking the same. Everyone's different. So know that going into it. But Edward, how do you feel on that part?
You know, first of all, there's two different unions, like Malika was saying, and you have to be in the union in order for you to be able to play. You know, and in order for you to be in the union, there's certain guidelines that you have to follow to be in the union. But then also you have to understand the production that you're on. If you are shooting and that's a wonderful thing that Kim was bringing to the table, is there's so many genres that she's been a part of, and they operate so differently. Film and TV and soap operas, and then you have music videos, you have concerts, it's just so much runway. It's so much. But in the respect of film and television, I think that the department head is a coach, and he have to understand his players. He has to understand what they're capable of doing and what they can and cannot do. And so I welcome personals. I like that, because then I know that that particular actor will be taken care of. All I ask is that the hair and makeup that are taking care of them, they come and we have a little powwow. Let's talk about the full show. Let's talk about the full concept of the show and what we're looking for. So, because we do want to present this show for an Oscar or an Emmy or a Golden Globe or whatever it may be, you know, just so we can try to keep it at a certain level and a consistency. Then if you are working on different textures of hair, who's best at that hair? Who's best at braiding? Who's best at weaving? Who's best at wigging? Who's best at, you know, just natural textures of hair? And you want the best person to operate in this, because they will shine. It's not that they're better than you, or you know, or you're less than. It's just that you want to bring the best product to the table. And you want, one thing about hair and makeup, we just want to create something incredible that will stand the test of time. And that's one of my things too. You know, black hair and makeup, I'm telling you, we were forced to learn all textures, you know, and that's just, I mean, we were forced to do it. So we can deny it or we can walk away from the truth. But the truth is that we were forced to know all skin tones. We were forced to know all hair textures. We were forced to know it, because in order for us to be able to survive, we had to know all of it. And so I don't know about my counterparts. Some of them can, but you know, it's just natural textures. You know, that natural texture is a beast if you don't know what to do with it. It will humble you.
Right. No, absolutely. Kim, did you want to add to that? I have a couple audience questions, but I want to see if you want to add to that, Kim.
Well, I do want to say, I think it's extremely important that most department heads, whether they're, and it's so interesting, I'm actually a department head of a show called The Morning Show, which is very few African Americans on this show. And so luckily I'm comfortable with doing all types of hair, because I went to a beauty college that was mostly Caucasian hair. And then I also went to a Black beauty college, because I went during high school. So I had 3 years to go to beauty college, because I went through an ROP program when I was in high school. But I was glad that I did, because it taught me so much about being diverse with hairstyling, and you don't ever want to have an opportunity that you can't, you know, because really hair is about texture. When you learn, it's about texture. And one of the things that I think is important, when department heads that have African American artists or actresses on their show, if they're not comfortable with doing that hair, they need to make sure they hire at least one African American person that knows how to work with that hair, because there is a difference. The hair, like you said, it's very humbling working with natural hair. Listen, I've had this hair all my life, and it's not easy for even me to do my own hair. So it has special needs, and me having a salon really also helps too, because I work with all type of clients and customers, and so I have a lot of experience under me when it comes to hair. But everybody doesn't always have that. So like Edward was saying, it's important, like you are the coach, to hire the people that specialize in that area. Because sometimes a personal may be a lead person that's an African American person who wants to make sure, because one of the things that I did in my salon, I would be doing a lot of actresses' hair before they went to set, because there was not someone there who knew how to really work with their hair without A, making it look good, B, there's a damage factor to it, because if you don't know how to properly use a pressing comb, you know, or a flat iron, or you know not to use it every day. And so, or someone has hair issues, they may have extreme hair loss and they have to wear a wig. So it's really about hiring a person that specializes in whatever is needed for that particular thing. So that's why I kind of agree with Edward about personals. I understand why personals, you know, it's a lot, you know, to have all that. Sometimes it's not even about being special. I think it's about someone who specializes in a wig that makes that actor comfortable, because that first of all, television is one thing. And so I see it on both sides. You need people with experience that understand TV and know that, okay, certain things like black hair looks massive on television. That's why highlights and lowlights work great for that. But also understand that when you're on a big screen, it's magnified and you can see everything. So being, you know, knowledgeable and comfortable with working with wigs or working with a specific type of hair, there's such an art to it. And then there are just some people, like they'll bring in a person that can do body makeup on, you know, a specialty. So I think that's super important now it's always great if the department head takes control of that and makes sure that they hire all the right people to do it. But every now and then it's a matter of comfortability, you know, because some women have been burnt. Because I know my salon stayed full of actresses who had issues and drama on set with their hair, and they didn't like it. They didn't like the way they looked, or someone damaged their hair. Or this is the famous thing. They'll pass them over. Oh, you look great. And their hair looks crazy. They haven't laid down their edges. They haven't done anything. And so they're like, oh, that's great, because they don't want to mess with it. They don't want to touch with it. Right. Some people don't want to admit to that. But a great department head understands, like, listen, I department head a lot of things. And there's certain things like I know how to braid. I don't want to braid, and that's not my specialty. I bring a braider in to do that particular thing that I feel, or if someone, I feel like they do better at something than I do, I make sure that person is doing what we need to do to keep the train running. Because really, as a department here, your job is sort of, like you said, almost like a conductor, to make sure all this, because you've got to manage. So really doing a lot of hair is really, depending on how big your project is, doing a lot of hair is really challenging if you're trying to do everybody and you're trying to run a show. So that's why it's important to have, like Edward was saying, the right people on your team to help you to make the whole overall picture look good. And I hope I didn't overtalk that, but
no, that covered a lot. And again, someone on set who gets their makeup done, I go in and what I've started to do is open the conversation. If you can't do it, tell me you can't do it. Let's figure this out. Because I always carry my own set bag too. And I literally am looking at it right now. It's got my name on it with all my colors, because a lot of times people don't know how to mix, or then and then you just end up feeling like you don't want to go on camera. Like you said, you don't look right. They know it doesn't look right, or they don't want to touch your hair, or they don't want to do anything. So Kim, I totally 100% understand where you're coming from on that part. Malika, there was a question from the audience right now. They wanted to see if you could break down the difference from the unions, the 706 compared to the 798.
I believe the requirements are different. So it really starts with politics. Georgia is a right to work state. If you're in a right to work state, anybody can come on a set. No one can fight that. Producers can be mad. They can say, hey, listen, you should hire someone in your union. But if there's no one in your union that you feel can do the work, you can go get someone from a salon. You can go get someone from a mat counter in a right to work state. LA, not happening at all. Your show will be shut down. Your producers will be at your door, and your person will be escorted out if you try to bring someone from a mat counter. So it really starts at a state level, and like, what's your options where you are? So I'm in both unions, thankfully. And I came to LA to steal 798, but I was not allowed to work on a 706 set ever. Like, I knew Kim, I knew so many people, but they're like, can't hire you. It's literally like illegal. So understanding that, because I what I've learned is so many people get offended when they're like, oh, you can't work there. Or they just don't want to hire me. They don't want to work with me. It's like, no. People aren't being mean to you. People aren't thinking that you don't deserve a chance. People are not allowed to do it. And if they do it, they risk their own, they jeopardize their own jobs and their own relationships with producers, because you bring so much unnecessary heat to a show by trying to hire someone that is non-union just to be a friend or to make an actor happy. It just cannot happen. So the biggest thing is that right to work state, not right to work state. And then kind of what everyone was saying, going under those guidelines to make sure that you're eligible to even qualify for each union. So Georgia, the East Coast, depending on where you are, if it's a right to work state, you can go get your days legally and work and then present your days and join the union. If you're in California, not so much. I was a star request. That's how I got in. I know there are certain waivers that people can use to get in. I don't know if there's still a producer request. Marshall can touch on that. But I heard that it's done away with because too many people were getting in and not being qualified, not really knowing how to do the job, but we're like buddies. My thing was, I would always tell people to try to find shows that are non-union that kind of flip, because then you're automatically allowed to join. But again, you have to kind of be in the know and know people and talk to people and let people know that you want to join, let people know that you're interested. So depending on where you live, I think is going to be a big factor in joining the union.
Well, is 706 in the East Coast and 798 is LA? I didn't even know that.
706 is West Coast, 798 is East Coast.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for those outside of it, I have one more question from the audience right now. They wanted to know, do you have to be, or do people prefer a makeup artist to be licensed to be represented by a talent agency? So what they're asking is what's the difference, or what's the representation do, or do you need that representation?
I know for CNN, they wanted people to have an esthetician license, which I thought was genius. But I do think it's good to have someone that really knows about skin. From my understanding, both unions for makeup, you're not required to have a license for skin. And to have a talent agent, I didn't think it was that beneficial, because a department head, Edward's not going to call, or Kim's not going to call your agent to see if you're available to day play. It just doesn't happen. And then you're also giving money to your agent for something that you're already paying for. You're paying for the union. You're paying to be in this union. So people that hire you are the people that you work with, or people that get to know you. So, and most people are not going to go through the roster and then look for your agent's information to find you. It just, to me, doesn't make sense.
Yeah. You call the union and ask who's available, right? I mean, that's how
I feel like it's a lot of times it is word of mouth. However, I have two agents. I have an agent for freelance, and I do have a film and television agent. And and to be honest with you, I'm pretty established, and I can get a lot of jobs without an agent. But the reason I chose to get an agent, 2 reasons, because I do like to have someone negotiate on my behalf. Mm-hmm. And the other reason is I want to be able to get things outside of my circle that I'm in. There you go. So depending on, but you got to be with the right agent though. So you get an agency who on a regular basis manages people that work on very great, films or bigger films or television opportunities that, wouldn't come your way otherwise. That's the only time I would recommend you get an agent. But yeah, I mean, for me, sometimes I'm the type of person, I can definitely negotiate my rate really well. And I've been in it long enough to understand. And sometimes I'll tell my agent what I need to do and certain things that they might have even thought of. However, I prefer someone to negotiate on my behalf, because to me, it just feels more business Now, and I'm talking about mainly for department head. You're right, Malika, you don't need it for, work if you're working under another show. But if you want to try to run the show or be the department head, it might not be a bad idea to get someone, but relationships are extremely important. And that is the benefit when you do well on a project and you are very collaborative and you work really well with people. Of course, word of mouth spreads and people will come and ask you for opportunities. But I've always taken them through my agent, speak to my agent, and they will, negotiate all the terms.
It takes the pressure off you as well when you have an agent. You can still focus on just the creative aspects, and Kim is right as well. You have to guide your agent along. You cannot let them have full access and full deity over your career. You have to have some information for them. And then, you also bring projects to them as well.
Mm-hmm.
But for 706, I do want to give you guys the phone number that you guys can call them and they can give you all the information that you need to get into the union. Because I think you require, if you do it, you have 5 years to make a certain amount of hours. And I think it's 180 hours. And I think it's 60 hours per year. And within those 60 hours, they have to be of a non-union project. I mean, a union project. Yeah, it's got to be a union project. And then also, if you're grandfathered in, you're working on a project that turns union, you have to do 30 days of a union project that then you are in the union. But there's so many other little details that we cannot give you, but the union can. So the phone number it's 818, it's 295 3933. And then the fax number is 818-295-3930. And that will give you guys, they'll give you all the information you need. But I tell you, working in this industry, 706 and working in New York, I believe in unions. I believe that they look out for you. I believe that they take care of you. And the right to work state, Chicago's one of those. Chicago, you can go in there. They have a union now, but you still have to, you can work. And I was doing the pilot of Lovecraft Country, and that was a period piece. We had over 350 wigs working. And so with that amount of wigs working, you need someone to understand wigs. But then the only reason why I brought in so many wigs is because, like Kim was saying, it was a period piece with African-American hair that back in the day, in the 40s, they were pressing their hair. And so when you have a lot of non-African Americans in your union and you're sending them over to me to do the hair and they can't do the job, I had to make a mid-course adjustment. And so that's why I just said, you know what, I'll go buy a lot of wigs and then I implement the wigs. So then I have the people styling the wigs and then they can just put the wigs on. So I did not turn them away from working, but I just found another way how to delegate the project.
And I can give the local 798 number is 212-627-0660. Again, that's 212-627-0660.
All
and
that
both is really smart.
Sorry, go ahead, Malika. I cut you off.
I was saying, I think. Oh, did you get the telephone number?
I heard them. Yes, we got the number.
Okay, I was just saying, I think joining both unions is really smart if you're able to.
Absolutely. Definitely numbers that I hope everyone wrote down, or they can obviously go and look it up right later. Like, just check that out. I want to go back to, and especially Edward, when you're mentioning how many wigs you were working on. By the way, I love that show. And cast. And Marshall, I guess I can do for both of you and Kim as well, just being a head of department as well, knowing that the production time costs a lot of money. And when you have wigs, you're saying over 300 wigs in rotation, that's a lot of money. How do you stay within the budget and balance the needs of the talent that's on set at the same time, knowing what they want and what they need around hair specifically, but staying within that budget.
Kim, you want to answer that?
Well, one of the things, I guess I'll be honest with you. I'm one of those hairstylists. I believe in asking for what I need when it comes to supplies, and because this is my thing. Because I know what I'm doing, I'll tell them straight out, this is going to save me time on the back end. So you're not waiting, because to be honest with you, every minute that they're waiting, you're talking about millions and millions of dollars, being generated over time. And so I make my decision on what I need based on the time that I have and the type of production I'm working on, and based on the budget that they have. I find clever ways to work within my budget. For me, I have I have a salon. I have a whole slew of hair and wigs because we manufacture and we sell wigs. So I can also get them at better prices when I need to get, a lot of wigs. And I found that wigs like Edward were great for me because it will save me time and later on. And so that way production doesn't have to wait for me or wait for anybody on my team, because we are planning this out to make it more cost efficient. But having that said, the trade-off is that it's going to cost a little bit more, but you got to work within your budget. They'll give you a budget, what you have, and then you learn how to work with it from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I would add, am I interrupting you, Edward?
No.
Oh, I would add, one of the things that happens is, especially in TV, you're going quickly. And so you audition, an actor sends their audition in on, and these are the day players or the weekly players that come in, but they send their audition in on tape. I, as a producer, I give it to the hair and makeup department and to the costume department so they know what the person looks like. Usually the production should bring them in the day before they work. And sometimes they can't, but they should bring them in the day before they work, because somebody auditions and they might be wearing a wig and you don't know it. The producer doesn't know that it's a wig. We're not professionally, equipped for that. And so then they come in and they get given to hair and makeup, and then hair and makeup is like, oh my God, the wig isn't right, the look isn't right, all that kind of stuff, and they don't have any reaction time. So I think that's what I mean about communication and people working together. I think it's better if everybody's a big, huge team trying to help each other figure that out.
Yeah, remaining organized, breaking the scripts down, exactly what you need in the process. And like Kim was saying, listen, you wrote the script, I broke the script down. This is what I need to save time and money. And the producers, they're smart. They know what it takes to run a production. And so they will normally give you what you need. But then when they give you what you need, you have to stay in your budget. You have to stay in your budget, because then they're not going to trust your word. They're not going to respect your word because you are overstepping your budget. And believe me, as a producer, you want everybody to be accurate with their numbers. Now, give or take a couple of, hundreds, that helps, but when you're so far off, and like Kim was saying, way down the line, it's costing the production millions of dollars. I mean, how are you able to keep this show on, if it's a TV show, on the air, or how are you able to have this film come under budget where they can make a profit and make another film? It's just so many little things that each department really plays a huge part in production. So I think staying organized, understanding your hours, your man days, your budget, running your department efficiently, it pays off well down the line. It does.
Mm-hmm. I've even had actors send in, like, I'll send to producers, like, I'll ask them what makeup they use or what they're comfortable with. Because if you're trying to just cut costs in every area. Sometimes if you get cheap foundation or cheap products, it'll show up immediately on that person's skin. They may not want to work for the day because they feel like, oh my God, I have a blister, or oh, I have pimples. So I always try to get like what they need and what they want. For example, people that love like creme de la mer, $400 creams, I show the producers like, this isn't me asking for this because I just want it. This is what the person is asking for, and is it possible for us to get it? And I normally get everything that I want. It's very rare that people give me pushback, but again, when you have a list of what they're requesting, it makes it easier, and it's people's face. Like,
it's forever.
Yes, no, yes to everyone who just said something about that. And Malika, thank you for mentioning that too as well. And again, I do that with my team, and there hasn't been pushback. This is what I need for my kit because I'm acne prone. I get the worst all over my face, and we work with that. And we get it every month. We re-up and whatever we need. So yes, be vocal about it. This is a question from one of the people watching. They said, since we're in a pandemic, how can we continue working on our requirements? I'm 10 years in the field, and it's hard finding opportunities at this moment. Which, yeah, it's difficult right now. But does anyone have any kind of insight to that?
Yeah, no, it's very difficult around the world. So it's not just in our industry, it's in every industry. The restaurant industry is taking a beating. So whatever you do, don't take it personal. You have to have great relationships, tap into your relationships, call around. Like Kim was saying, she has 2 agents. One agent is for one sector of her life and another agent for another sector. You might have to tap into your relationships, and just call around and take lesser projects, take small projects to fill in the gap. Take a commercial, take a small little video, or just do some weddings, or whatever it may be to move forward. But working on your credentials to get into the union, you have to be working on projects. Union projects are non-union projects to accumulate days. So you just make sure that you keep your paycheck, your pay stub. Make sure you keep your documentation of the days and the hours that you worked, and then you present them to the union. That's how you can get into, you can move forward into getting closer to getting in the union. But I mean, I have never been too shy of taking smaller, lesser jobs, because I know that every job leads to the next one. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, you did. Malika, did you want to add?
I would say just reaching out to people. I mean, I know it's so tough, especially like film and TV, because it's not a lot of people that do it, and then it seems like if people that are not in that type of circle don't even know who to reach out to or how. I would say just find people, whether it's social media or just anywhere in your city or town, and just ask producers if people on, films that may not be that big. Still ask, still find out, still get that experience, because you just never know when someone's going to need someone, especially now.
Definitely. I definitely want to just jump in because we have a few more minutes left. And Edward, I want to specifically talk with you for a second, obviously being on Black Monday and the different styles, the different casts that you have on there, and just being prepared every time you go to set for them. How important, again, just to readdress that, is it to make sure that your team knows the requirements to obtain these jobs and to be working on these sets, and also the knowledge that they need to have entering these jobs?
Yes, I mean, I have an incredible team. We've been working together for a long time. One of Lily Frierson King, Susie DeLeon, and Q, the barber. We work well together, and I just delegate well. Lily, she works on Regina Hall, and I work on Don, but Q is there for Don as well. And then I have Paul, Casey, Yasir, all of those guys require different techniques. And they also carry wigs. It's a period piece. It's in the 80s, and then it's the 90s, and have flashbacks. And so you have to lay it out. You have to break a script down in regards to the timing, the action of what they're doing, and what they're wearing. You know, wardrobe plays a big part. Makeup comes along after to like really bless the look. But it's very important to understand the character. It's really to understand the character, to understand the the script, because it's a comedy, but it's also, it's a lot of dramas involved. But when it's a comedy, you have some leeway to have the hair a little looser, a little funkier, a little, some flyaways, and it's a loose. It's not like a real. It's not a full on depiction of a character. If you are playing James Brown, it needs to line up to James Brown. If you're playing Tina Turner, that look needs to line up to Tina Turner. Another, I wanted to go back to also when they were asking, I think I go into IMDb Pro. If you go there and you start, I think it's best to invest. If you go there and look up information, the different productions that's coming, start submitting your resume. That's if you're in the union.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we got about 60 seconds left. Hopefully, the specifically, I wanted to just touch on it. If anyone can reach on this, again, I brought this to you first, Marshall, but the importance of hiring more Black people on these sets, and diverse. The sets are diverse. It's representative of what we see every day in the world, but to make sure that the background also matches, the front of what's happening. How can we stress that importance and also continue to hire, diverse individuals for these sets?
Well, me personally, I think we've talked a lot about it today. I think the bringing awareness constantly about how you need to do that is the most important thing. And I feel like there's such a good time right now in the industry that people are listening. And I think it's very obvious that you need to have diversity to deal with the different things that everybody's talked about on this, the different textures and the different skin and all of that. So I think everybody's doing it just right. I think you just have to keep at it. Don't let up,
Can I just add one thing though?
Yeah.
What I feel is important, most important, as well as not only being more diverse, but make sure that if you are joining into a hair and makeup union or working into this genre of celebrity hairstylists, make sure you are educating yourself and you are coming in knowing what to do. Because I think it's just as important to be well educated, because if you're going to be working or running a department or even working on a TV show, there is certain skill set and requirements that's needed, like continuity, like there's certain business things that you need to know about, working in TV and film, timing, etiquette, all those things. That's why I really enforce mentors, because they can teach you and you can learn and you need to know. Because some people, I have seen people get in and don't know what they're doing, and it's kind of harming a little bit of, because I'm the type of person, I love the craft and I love the business and I love the art of styling hair. There is an art to it. So if you're going to get into it, really fully commit into it and really learn it, so that when you get it, that opportunity, you don't make it hard for the person coming up under you to want to do it, because they may not want to hire people of color if they don't know what they're doing. So I think that is equally as important. So if you're in it, then you need to be in it all the way. You need to learn and understand, because I had a situation with a person where someone wanted me to recommend them to go and do a film, to go off and do a film, one of my stylists. And at the time, this person had no experience. I hadn't had a chance to help her or teach her anything. So I did not recommend her. Well, it's not so much that I didn't. I explained the person the level of experience they had.
Yeah.
And they didn't have enough experience. So therefore, I'm letting you decide if you want to take someone who doesn't have experience or someone that does. I take my recommendations very seriously. So I don't want to recommend somebody who does not have the experience, because it can make that person, it won't be good for that person, because I don't want to throw them into fires to the lion's den. It's great. You're going to learn, and sometimes it happens that way. You take it. So that person had the choice. to hire that person or not, you know, and that, you know, so at least they knew, they were equipped with the information. So I just think that it's really, people need to understand, if I'm getting in this business, I need to really find someone, get with someone and learn it, so that when I get that opportunity, I am prepared.
Absolutely. Yes, very, very well said. And that's where we drop the mic, because you said it all, and make sure everyone, you literally said it all. Educate yourself, know what you're doing. If you're going to be in it all the way. Yeah, drop the mic. Kim, Edward, Marshall, Malika, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For having me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I miss you.
Best people.
Thank you guys.